Hi, and welcome to Christian Brothers University's Step-by-Step FAFSA Help. FAFSA is your free application for federal student aid. And what we are here to do today is take you through an actual step-by-step of how to complete the FAFSA, along with some helpful hints and cues to get you through and best serve you on your way. To begin, you want to create the FSA ID. You do this by going to fsaid.ed.gov and by entering in your own information. Please remember, when you're using an email address, you want to use an email address that you will have access to forever. This is the email address that the Department of Education will be communicating back to you, so you also want to make sure it's an email address that you are always checking. When you set up your user ID with FSA ID, you're going to be asked to create your username, password, and then you're going to set some security questions. It's very important as you're setting those security questions that you don't just take a picture with your phone, but that you actually remember the answers to these questions. A lot of times students will take pictures with their phones and get new phones, and then they don't have that information any longer. So remember to have a hard copy somewhere in your files that you can always refer back to. So what is the FAFSA completely? Well, it provides the largest source of financial aid for students, and it is a form that has to be completed every year that you plan on using federal aid. The website is fafsa.ed.gov. When you log into the website, it will ask you if you are new to the FAFSA process or if you're a returning user. If you start here as a brand new user, you can use this guide. So when you log in, it's going to ask you when you're logging in if you are the student or if you are a parent, preparer, or a student from the freely associated state. I always say to choose that you are a student and to start with your information first, since this application is truly a representation of who you are and the information captured is mostly about you. When you log in, you're going to use the same FSA ID that you had created with the username and password. This will then take you to a disclaimer and a warning that you are accessing the U.S. federal government system and that you are responsible for the information that you put onto this site. You want to go ahead and accept these rules, and then you can start your 2021-2022 FAFSA. It is important to note that if you are planning to attend summer, you will also need to finish the 2020-2021 FAFSA, as that will be the information used for all summer financial aid eligibility. But if you're planning to start in the fall, we're going to do that 2021-22 FAFSA. You will be asked if you would like to create a saved key. This is simply an opportunity for you to create your own key to where if you cannot finish the FAFSA in one sitting, you can come back to your saved process, log back in, and pick up exactly where you left off. You will be given student information where you can pull down and see answers to all the questions listed to the right. Like, how can I get help? How many steps does it take? Or how long will it take? And can I save my FAFSA if I can't finish it? You will also tell you the documents needed to complete the FAFSA, and how about signing the FAFSA, and the different web security and privacy policies for FAFSA on the web. So as we begin, you will see there at the top it says Student Information. This is important because as you flip through the tabs, that student information piece will always denote when it is the student's information. If you are required to have parental information, that will then change to say parent information. So keep looking at the top if you're not sure whose information they're asking for. This is where you will enter, as the student, your social security number, first name, middle name, last name, and date of birth. Remember, whatever is on your social security card is the name that it is looking for, because it will double check that you are who you say you are. Make sure that you take your time and enter your social security number accurately so that it can do those double checks. Remember your email address that you used? You want to use that same email address when you come into this section here. This is the address where the student lives. So this would be your permanent mailing address. If you are planning to live on campus, you still want to use the permanent mailing address where you are sure to get any communications from the Department of Education if they send you something by mail. They will ask you residence questions for any kind of state aid. In this case, it's have you lived in Tennessee for at least 5 years? And are you a U.S. citizen? In order to qualify for state aid in the state of Tennessee, you must be a U.S. citizen or a U.S. permanent resident. If you are not a citizen or a permanent resident of the United States, you will not qualify for any financial aid. In this piece, it's going to ask you, what will your high school completion status be when you begin college? It's going to ask you if you're graduated. It's going to ask you if you are getting your GED. It'll ask you what degree or certificate that you're going to be working on when you begin the school year, whether it be the technical certificate, associate's degree, bachelor's degree. And those are typically the routes, but if you are a grad student, you can put in a graduate professional. It'll ask you if you will have your first bachelor's degree before you begin in the fall of the 2021 school year. And what will your college grade level be when you begin? Will you be a first-time freshman? Have you ever attended college before? Do you have some college and you're just a transfer student? And finally, it'll ask you if you're interested in being considered for work study. I always say to answer yes to this question. It doesn't mean necessarily that you are locked into working a work study position, because that is still your choice. But work study is a free opportunity on campus to work 10 to 20 hours a week, getting paid at least minimum wage, and it's the opportunity to get a paycheck while you're here. So for males, they will ask if you are registered for selective service. You must be registered for selective service in order to receive federal aid from the government. If you are not registered for selective service, you will have the option of having the form submit your information to selective service to have you registered. This will ask you if you have a driver's license and what the driver's license number is and what state is that license with. Remember, licenses are information and they're not just for driving. In this next possible scholarship, they're collecting data to see if you could qualify for any additional scholarships and possibilities. So they're going to ask you if you were ever in a foster youth or were you at any time in foster care. They're going to ask you the highest school completed by parent 1, and they're going to ask you the highest completed school for parent 2. When you go forward, remember who you used as parent 1 and who was parent 2. As you flip from tab to tab, as you can see at the top, we are now on the next section, and your application was successfully saved. Please remember that when this FAFSA belongs to you, the you and the your always, unless otherwise noted, refers to the student. So, what's the name of your current high school? And in what city is your high school located? And in what state is that high school located? And now it will ask you, What college are you looking to attend? You have the option of, do you know the federal school code for your college? CBU school code is 003482. If you do not know that school, you can always do a search, and it'll allow you to search all of the schools with these federal IDs and find the one you're looking for. Remember to verify the college and the location are correct, because many colleges will have multiple locations, and you want to make sure your financial aid data is received in the correct location of where you plan to attend. This will make it easier for the financial aid office to award your financial aid. The next thing it's going to ask you is, what are your housing plans while you're attending? Are you going to be staying on campus, off campus, on your own, or are you going to be living at home with your parents? You just want to answer this, as it will help the financial aid office determine what kind of aid package best fits your situation. You have now flipped to another tab. Your information again was successfully saved, and it is going to ask you, what is your marital status of today? It's going to also bring you to the question of, do you now have or will you have children that will receive more than half of your support from between July 1 of 2021 and June 30th of 2022. This is important because if somebody that you're taking care of is receiving at least half of your support, you can claim them as a dependent. And then the next question is, do you have dependents other than your children or spouse who live with you and receive more than half of your support? This is because many people are also caring for maybe an older parent in the home. You're going to continue to answer the questions of, are you currently serving an active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces for purposes other than training? Are you a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces? At any time that you turn the age of 13, were both your parents deceased? Were you in foster care? Or were you a dependent or ward of the court? And as determined by a court in your state of legal residence, are you or were you an emancipated minor? Does someone other than your parent or step-parent have legal guardianship of you, as determined by the court in your state of legal residence? Or you can simply check none of the above. It's going to ask you if you were ever at risk of homelessness, or were you ever self-supporting yourself as homeless. If you answer no to each of these questions or none of the above on the group, then you will be required to enter any parental data. So this means you will have to answer questions about your parents, and if you are unable to do so, you must contact the financial aid office for further guidance. So now you see that your application was successfully saved, which means you've also transferred to a new tab. Please note that although this tab is Parent Demographics, it is still asking about you and yours as the student, as this is your federal application. So as of today, what is the marital status of your parents? It is now going to ask for the Parent 1 and Parent 2 information. Either one can be placed as Parent 1 and either one can be placed as Parent 2. Just remember who is 1 and who is 2. This is where you will place the Parent 2 data. It'll ask again in regards to state scholarship information if your parents have lived in Tennessee for at least 5 years. And when it takes you to this household size page, please note that your parents are included, whether you entered 1 or 2, will be in the top spot. You yourself will be included right under that, in the next spot. And then it'll ask you if your parents have any other children that they support, even if they're not living with you. So yes, if you have a brother or sister that's in college and they're living on campus somewhere else, you can include them. They're also going to ask you if they have anybody else that lives with them that they take care of. Maybe that older parent or someone else in the household that they're having to care for. It will then automatically add them up and total them there at the bottom. And it'll give you your number of, you'll answer how many of those people are actually attending college. Again, don't forget that brother or sister that's attending and living on campus. We are now moved over to the parent financials information, and your application again was successfully saved. So when you are doing this page, it is important to understand that you are using the parent's 2019 tax return. The 2019 tax return should have been completed in the year 2019, and it should be available for information. So your parents will answer questions, or you will answer the questions regarding if they've already completed this. It'll ask what type of tax return did the parents file, whether it was the 1040 EZ or the 1040. And then for 2019, what was your parents' filing status according to their tax return? And you will see that on the actual tax return, whether they filed as married, single, married filing joint, married filing separately, head of household, or widowed. There is the opportunity that exists for an IRS data retrieval tool, or what we call the IRS DRT. This allows the tax return information to be transferred directly from the IRS to FAFSA.gov and has stronger security and privacy protections. And as a result of that, the tax information transferred from the IRS does not display on the web page for the FAFSA form or on the student aid report. Instead of the tax information, the phrase transferred from the IRS will appear in the appropriate fields on FAFSA.gov. If you use this, it's important to know that if you are selected for the process of verification later, if you had done the DRT, we will not require a copy of the federal tax return from your parents to be submitted, as we will have that information already on the financial aid application verified by the IRS. There may be cases that you will not be able to use the DRT, but we highly encourage everyone to try. If you click the link to do the DRT, it'll take you directly to the irs.gov, and the fields will be pre-filled based on your FAFSA responses. So first name, last name, security, social security, date of birth, and the filing status will be there. It's important to know that everything must match the tax return for 2019 in order for the information to be pulled over and for your identity to be verified. So if your street address on your tax return is listed as 912 Main Street with street spelled out, you must spell the word street out on this form. If it's abbreviated, you must abbreviate it. The IRS will give you a warning saying that this is a government system again, and it is for authorized use only. You will click OK. Now, if your parent did not use the IRS data retrieval tool or was not able to use that data retrieval tool, you will then enter in the information manually. Each question will refer you to the line on the IRS 1040 form to tell you exactly what you're looking for to put into these blocks. So it'll ask you what the parent's adjusted gross income was. It will then ask you how much did parent 1 and parent 2 make from actually wages and salaries, tips, and etc. So this is everything that they've brought in on the W-2 typically. It will ask you for the parent's income tax paid, and it will refer you to the exact line to look at for what that total tax responsibility was. And it'll continue to ask the same questions. Combat pay, special combat pay, these should be rare, and not very often do we ever see them. But if you are getting these, you want to include them onto the FAFSA. It'll ask about student college grants and scholarships and report it to the IRS. They'll ask about education credits, such as the American Opportunity Tax Credit or lifetime learning. Untaxed portions of the IRA distributions, or IRA deductions and payments of self-employment. Tax-exempt interest income from IRS line 1040, line 2. A. So, did your parents have any of the following information from 2019? And you'll enter all the information that also applies. Child support for your parents that was paid because of divorce or separation. Earnings from work under the co-op education program offered by a college. And taxable earnings from need-based employment programs such as federal work study or need-based employment for portions of the fellowships and assistantships. Child support received for all children, and do not include the foster care or adoption payments. Housing, food, or other living allowances paid to members of the military and clergy, and others, including cash payments and cash value of benefits. Payments to tax-deferred pensions and retirement savings plans. They'll ask about veterans' non-educational benefits, such as disability and death pensions, and other untaxed income that's not reported, such as workers' compensation, disability benefits, and etc., from the actual federal government. Once you enter all the information, you will get a question as of today, does the total amount of your parents' current assets exceed, and then there will be a dollar amount. The dollar amount will depend based on the information that was previously entered into this. And if you have yes, you will say yes. And if you have no, you can answer no. So, this does not include the home that the parents live in or own when you look at assets. You will see again that we have now changed to a new tab and the application was successfully saved. Again, because this FAFSA belongs to you, the you and the yours always applies to the student. So, for the student, in 2019, have you completed an IRS income tax return? Many students do not, because they haven't held a job if they've been in high school, and that's okay. It will ask how much did you earn from working wages, salaries, tips, and etc. And it'll ask you child support paid or earnings of work under a co-op education program offered by the college, and taxable earnings from need-based employment programs, such as the work study and need-based employment portions of fellowships and assistantships. Just the same as it asked your parents. They want to know the same data about you. So it'll continue and ask about child support received for all children, or any housing, food, or other living allowances paid to members of the military. Again, those payments to tax-deferred pensions and retirement savings. Veterans' non-educational benefits, such as disability, death pensions, and dependency indemnity compensation. Other untaxed income not reported, such as workers' compensation, disability, and benefits. But any money received or paid on the behalf of the student or you, in other words, that is not included on tax forms. They're going to ask you what's your total current balance of cash, savings, and checking accounts. And if you're like me, it changes every day, so you can just use your average total. As of today, what is the net worth of your investments, including real estate? Again, not the home that you currently live in. And as of today, what is the net worth of your current businesses or investment farms? You've now changed your tab again and are on the Sign and Submit tab. So it's going to ask you if you are a preparer. This is very rare. While you feel like you may have just prepared this entire FAFSA, you are not a preparer, you are the student. So you want to check the box, no. You will have the opportunity to confirm all data, so you will be given everything broken out per your answers. Please take the time, look it over, again, making sure that your name, social security number, date of birth, and all information is accurate and correct. And now it's time for both you and your parent to sign the FAFSA. You can do an electric signature by clicking on that Provide Student Signature and then using your FSA ID. Only one parent will be required to sign the FAFSA, so they also will have to have the FSA ID to do so. So when you click on the box for student signature, you will look at the top and see Social Security number, last name, and date of birth, and make sure that that still matches. And then it'll ask you for your FSA ID, username or verified email address, and your password. Then you will click to sign your FAFSA. The parent signature will look exactly the same with the FSA ID. Congratulations, you're done. That wasn't so hard. If you have any questions though, you can still reach out to us, or if you still need additional help, contact the Office of Financial Aid. Our email address is finaid@cbu.edu and our phone number is 901-321-3305. You're not alone in this, and we will be happy to help.